Hola, my polyglot pals. It's Tori again, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about developing your ear in a language. Most language learners have reached a point where they kind of understand some of the written language, maybe can produce some sentences in a language, some simple phrases or words, but they seem to be missing how to actually listen to others beyond a very small subsection of like memorized phrases. For example, they may understand if someone says je m'appelle Tori, but they may not understand appelle in a different context. And that's because their ear is not yet developed. And this is one of the more challenging parts about learning a language. Developing your ear ultimately comes down to one big thing, and that's listening, and then listening some more. There's no way to get around that particular requirement of learning a language and developing your ear. You just have to listen. And the more you listen, the quicker this process is going to be. So a couple of techniques that you can use to learn how to listen to a language better would be 1, listening to music in your target language. It's generally a pretty enjoyable experience. So if you're learning French, listen to French music. If you're learning Chinese, listen to Chinese music. When I learned Italian, this was something that I did every morning and every afternoon. On the morning on my bus to work, I listened to Italian music, and on the morning or in the afternoon on my bus home, I listened to Italian music as well. And it wasn't just that I listened, I actually printed out all the lyrics for every single Italian top 40 song that I had on my phone to listen to, and kept those in a notebook that was with me at all times. So every day I got in the bus, opened the notebook, turned on my music, and listened while reading the lyrics. I also, for vocabulary's sake, wrote what the words meant and kind of what the song was about, which definitely helped my vocab too. But if you're really confident in vocab and maybe just struggling with listening, this is a really good technique to start improving your ear. Another good technique to improve your ear is to watch TV in your target language. You can watch native media. If you do, that may actually work better for you if the subtitles directly match the speech. One thing I've personally noticed, I've been watching Netflix with French subtitles and occasionally switching the language to French, but I can hear that the words spoken on the show are not the same as the words that are written. They're off by a little bit, which isn't a huge deal if you're trying to just familiarize yourself with the language, but for improving your ear, it may be detrimental. Now, a big caveat here is that every language that I have learned in the past has been phonetic, except for English, of course, but that is my native language. So learning French is requiring me to stretch my brain a little in how I learn and how I listen to a language. It's very strange for me to hear things that sound the same, but are spelled differently and mean entirely different things, and I'm still working on that in French. Obviously, English, we have a lot of those words. Other things that you can do to improve your ear are talk to people. I'm probably going to do a whole video on this someday, but you can find tutoring online for languages and just language conversation buddies, people who want to swap between talking in their native language and your language, which might be their target language. So that's definitely something that you can keep in mind. The other thing that you can keep in mind is that when quarantine is all over, you can usually find a conversation group for the bigger languages if you live in a major city. So I did this for both Spanish when I lived in Washington, D.C., and Italian when I lived in Boston. And I met up with people and spoke in the language there with them. That improves both your speaking and your listening comprehension. If you want to get really serious and studious about your listening comprehension, there are a couple of really good ways to do that. So first, the Harry Potter method that I talked about is just going to improve your listening comprehension by its very nature, and some of these more studious techniques that I'm going to talk about are kind of an extension of that. So one of the things that you can do if you want to improve your listening comprehension is find an audio clip and listen to it and write down what you hear. So, for example, an English audio clip might be "the quick brown fox jumped over the fence." When you listen to it, you should try to write down each word that you hear, and it's actually better to start at the end of that sentence. So you'll listen to maybe the last 10 seconds, and then you'll reverse it another 10 seconds. So then you'll listen to the 20 seconds, and then another 10 seconds. So you'll listen to 30 seconds, and you'll write down what you hear as you go. So you can hear the language backwards as well as forwards. This can help differentiate where the words are if you're struggling with that. It also sort of takes away the part of your brain that's trying to understand what the sentence means, because you're working backwards through the sentence. So it's not, you're not relying on your context clues and your knowledge of the language to fill out the sentence. If I started listening to a sentence and it was "je m'appelle," like, I can pretty much figure out what might come next. But if I start at the end, I'm not necessarily going to have that benefit, and it's going to make me a stronger listener. So that's basically it. Those are some techniques for getting stronger at a language. To recap, those techniques are 1. Listening. 2. Listening to music or other media in the language. And then, of course, 3. Practicing listening in active context. And then 4. Doing exercises involving listening. And then the one I recommended for that was to listen to a clip backwards and write out what you hear by doing that. Obviously, this was a quick video, but hopefully it was helpful in determining some techniques that would make it so it's a little easier to start hearing a language. I do really want to do a video soon on grammar, so look out for that in the near future. And you may have noticed that I've kind of moved to an every other week schedule. I'm not 100% sure if I'll keep every other week or go back to every week. But the benefit of every other week is that it does allow me a little bit more time to put together these videos, especially because, I'm working full time, and I know a lot of us are just overall a little tired from events in the world. So thanks for watching. If you thought this was a helpful video, please let me know in the comments below. And if there's anything you'd like to see me talk about, also give me a shout. Feel free to like and subscribe. Until next time, bye.